Hi everyone, my name is Kelly. I'm a librarian with the San Mateo County Libraries, and today I have a STEM kit activity for you all. We are going to be weaving friendship bracelets. Now some of you will be receiving the materials, but if you don't have the materials in the kit, this is a pretty accessible activity as well. So let's go ahead and see what those materials are. So to do the weaving activity, you will need at least one straw. I have a straw here that I cut up to make 3 pieces. So you're gonna need either 3 straws or maybe 1 or 2 straws cut into 3 different pieces, all the same length there. You also will need some yarn, which I have some here. This is actually kind of orange and green, but you can use any color that you like. You'll need some scissors, which I have here, and then you'll also need some tape. And another material that might be helpful is, well, we'll get into that in just a minute. So let's just talk a little bit first about what we're making and why we're making it. So we're making a woven friendship bracelet. And a woven, that's to say weaving, right? Weaving is a method of making fabric by interlacing threads. So we're going to get to practice some weaving today. But what about friendship? What does it mean to you to be a friend? What does friendship mean to you? Friendship is a type of relationship that includes mutual trust, support, and respect. Probably a little bit of love too. We gotta love our friends, right? But friendship is a really special type of relationship that we can, find out in our communities and in our lives, in our daily lives. But it's a good conversation to have about, well, what's a good friend? What makes a good friend? And what does that look like? Maybe you have a best friend or even friends, right? And you can start thinking, this person's really nice to me and they help me sometimes when I'm struggling, So maybe that's part of your definition of a friend, is somebody who helps you. I know it's really important to listen using our ears, right? To listen to others, and especially our friends, right? When maybe they have something that is really hard for them right now, or something that's difficult in their life. And as a friend, I can listen, and that's another way that I can support my friends. And of course, friends like to celebrate and have fun together and do, lots of fun things, playing together, making together. So certainly, I encourage you to think about things that you can do to be a good friend, and also think about your friends who I know some of us, all of us, right, have been socially distancing, and it's been really challenging to stay connected in new ways, right? So always thinking of our friends and, hold a special place in our hearts. The final note here about persistence is a word that we'll experience today as we're weaving. So to have persistence means to push through an activity or problem despite challenges. And boy, do we know about that. So many challenges that we'll encounter in our life, in our lifetimes, and persistence and patience are skills that we can develop, and that helps us to endure in even difficult times. So who knew that even through weaving that you could learn about persistence and practice a little bit of that today. So going back to our friendship bracelet, now this is a special type of bracelet, right? It's a symbol. What's a symbol? Well, the symbol is something that represents something else. Something. For example, our friendship bracelet is a bracelet that we'll wear, right? But it symbolizes our friendship, right? And a promise that we're going to make perhaps about that friendship. the promise to be a good friend, right? So you can actually give this bracelet to someone that you care about. You can also wear it as a reminder to yourself about being a good friend. So being kind, you know, being thoughtful to your friends and other people in your community. So let's go ahead and start making this friendship bracelet. I'm going to switch my camera so that you can see my hands. All right, and we will go ahead and start making this. Now, the first step that you'll want to do, I'm looking for the ends of my yarn here. There we go. Okay, so the first step is you want to measure the size of your wrist. So I'm just gonna go around. You can see there. Okay, so I'm about where those overlap is where I know I need it to be at least that big. But you want to add about 3 more inches, which reminds me, I need to grab my ruler. Hold on 1 second. And I'm back. All right, I have a measuring tape here. So let's see. Going back, so I want to kind of measure the circumference, the distance around my wrist. I guess I'm blocking. Try not to block your view. Oop, going the wrong way now. Okay, so from there, and then it says that I need to add about 3 more inches. So I'm gonna measure it. I'm about 8 inches there, so I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3 more inches there, and then I'm gonna cut. And so this is going to be sort of the bracelet that goes around my wrist. And then, so now that we have this one, we're actually gonna cut 2 more, the same length. So the way I like to do that is I have my example, right? I want 2 more that are the same length. And the way I like to do it, I like to just line them up, use my hands. Got my ends there, so cutting that same length, and then I'll just do the same thing again, sort of matching my yarn. It looks like I'll cut it about there. Okay, so our next step is we're going to tie all 3 of these together, and we're going to tape that to the table. Now, the way I like to do it is sort of forming a loop here, right? So I have a loop, and then I'm going to actually carry all 3. I'm going to loop it, wrap around, and come back up through that hole. So you can see I'm coming up through there. And then I'm going to pull. It's just a simple loop knot. I'm sure there's other ways you can figure out how to tie that too. But I've got that ready now. So now I'm going to tape it to my table. Tape here. Just like that, taped it to my table. So next, we're gonna work with the straw. Now I already cut mine. I actually only had 1 straw available to me, so I decided I would just cut these, the one that I had. And so you want all your straws to be the same length, and you want them to be definitely shorter than these strands that you've cut to fit around your wrist. Now you can experiment with that, as I'm definitely doing, because you could use longer straws based on how this relates to my bracelet. But since I only have these ones, well, that's what I'm going to work with. And, you know, there's definitely, you can play around with the length of the of the straw. So once I have my straws, and I just matched them up similar to how I cut my string to make sure they were the same length. So next we're going to feed the strands of yarn through the straw. So 1 straw per strand. If you noticed, I have 3 straws and 3 strands. So I'm just going to match each of those up, and then you'll go ahead and put your yarn through. Now, this was earlier I was mentioning you might need to use a tool to push that through. So if you have like a skewer, especially if your straw is longer, you'll probably need a little bit of help with that using a skewer or another type of something that would fit through the straw, right? So you could push the yarn through. But for me, it worked really well. My yarn fits nicely inside of there, and was able to just kind of gently guide it. I can definitely see how this could be tricky though. So if you need to use a tool, don't know if I have a good tool here. No, not right now. But yeah, like a wooden skewer, like the kinds that people used to cook barbecue kebabs, that would work well. Okay, so I've got my 3 straws, my three strands there. Okay, so now we've sort of set up, this is essentially, we're going to be weaving on these straws. So the whole bracelet won't be woven, but this portion here where we have the straws is where we're going to be doing the weaving. So again, if you want to do more weaving, you could use longer straws. If you want to do a little less weaving, shorter straws might be a good option. So let's see, we also have to tape the top of the straws. That's right. So we're going to tape the top of the straws to the table. I'm going to hold off on that though, because I'm going to see how I can do it. All right, and then the final preparation step here is we're actually going to prepare the yarns that we'll be weaving back and forth between these tubes. So the way that you can measure this, you need approximately 3 feet. So, oh, that one's already cut. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think you can see all of my measuring tape from this camera, but 36 inches is 3 feet. So I'm just gonna find the end of my string again. I keep losing it. Here it is. All right, so I got 3 feet there. Okay, so I think it might be a little harder for me just because my straws are shorter, but let's go ahead and see. Tape them down. I think the idea is we don't want them to move around too much as we're weaving. All right, so I taped those down too. So now we've got this longer piece of string yarn, and this is what we're going to be weaving with. So to get that ready, we're gonna just tie a little simple little knot here. So I'm just kind of like untying my shoelaces. If you need some help with that, you can get some help. I'm gonna do a double knot just to be safe. And now I'm ready to start weaving. So the basic process here is you're going to alternate between going over and under the straws. And you can sort of lift the straws. You can use your string, of course. But you can see there I gone down to one end, and now I'm coming back the other end. So it's just looping around, going over, under, and over, under. You can start to see, although maybe you can see it there, my green yarns are starting to they're starting to form like a weaving pattern. Now, there are other types of weaving activities out there. I know that I've seen using like rubber bands and hair ties. And there's a simple way to do some weaving like that. I've also made my own cardboard loom. It's another type of tool that you can make to explore a slightly different type of weaving. This one's really fun too. It definitely requires persistence. You know, I'm kind of getting a feel for it here. I have done this weaving with plastic straws today, but today I'm using, it's actually a paper straw. Now you can experiment with different types of yarn. Mine here today is pretty thin, so I am curious, because we're eventually actually going to remove the straws here. I guess when I run out of string. And when we remove the straws, that will then, all of this that I'm weaving will end up going onto the strings. Weaving, of course, comes from pretty much, it goes way back in the history of people throughout the world, for that matter. A lot of cultures have weaving traditions. Africa, places in Asia, South America, here in the United States, indigenous peoples continue to weave. I know the Navajo were known for some of their weaving. Of course, there's a lot to explore, so much. Very relaxing too, as I'm, you know, doing this here with you all. I would say, I mean, I have done this a little bit, so my hands have that experience, right? And as I like to tell people too, it's, you know, the more we practice, the more experience we have doing this type of activity. I don't know if easier is exactly the word, but it gets easier to do, and it feels more natural to the hand. Your hands are like, yes, this is what we're doing. Okay, let's do it. So you can hear I'm talking and weaving. And you kind of, you can get into a good rhythm with it. And I also, another thing I like about weaving is sort of watching whatever I am weaving, making, and watching it develop as it, each, you know, with each over and under that you make, you know, you're starting to form that fabric, right? Not all of the fabrics that we wear are done through weaving, but a lot of them are. Oop, and now I see why it's important to tape your straw down, because if you don't, it might start moving. and we're not quite ready for that yet. So yes, taping up here where the straws are, taping them down. I just figured out why that was important because my weaving started to come off. So I'm almost out of string here. So actually, I think I'm going to go back a little bit because I need, just like we tied a knot around the straw up here, I now want to tie a knot down here. And the way I'm going to do that is I kind of have to loop around one of the straws and then slip my string under so that I can create a little knot. And now, I'm really curious how it's going to turn out. I get to remove the straws from, you want to try to do them together, I think. Whew, there we go. Because we want to keep our little woven bit there, our weaving, intact. But as you can see, you can definitely see it now. I really like that, actually. So as you can see, now I do have these, this is where I tied my knot, remember? So I can actually just trim that excess yarn. And let's see, so you can see, haha, where the straws were, you can see sort of the skeleton of the straw, definitely my part that's woven there. And so your bracelet, you know, if I had had longer straws, this woven part, this weaving would have been, you know, a little bit longer. Now it does seem to, it looks like I can move it around a little bit. But now I want to figure out, okay, so if I want this to fit, ooh, actually looks pretty cool. I was not quite sure how it was going to turn out, but I like it. So I think for me, I know I need a little bit of room so I can, you know, kind of wiggle this onto my wrist. Which is why we gave, when we measured it, remember we measured our wrist and then we gave it a little extra, 3 inches extra. Just gonna see if I can knot that. Okay, and then the way I've made it is just so I can slip it on. And it fits me. It's fit to fit me, or it could be fit to fit your friend, or you know, whoever you might be making this bracelet for. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Can't wait to see what you all make. Let me go ahead and switch my camera around real quick. Got my friendship bracelet. Woo! I'm so happy the way it turned out. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you'll make some bracelets for your friends and of course commit to being a good friend and you know, being a friend to people out there in the world. We need friends, we all do. We all need loving and trusting relationships. So on that note, I want to remind you all, we have our Summer Learning Challenge starting, it started now, it started on June 1st and goes through August 31st. If you haven't signed up yet, you can go to the website www.summerlearners.org. We're going to be raffling 12 $1,000 college scholarships at the end of the summer. So do your reading this summer, do some friendship bracelets, and I'm sure you have all kinds of other fun, awesome things that you're doing as well. And I hope to see you with some of our other videos. Until next time, my name is Kelly, and I'll see you later. Have a great summer.